terrorist screening center admitted that there were innocent civilians on this list for other purposes that they didn't meet because they didn't meet the reasonable suspicion criteria for terrorism. So, and then he explained in his statement under penalty of perjury that even though they are on the list, they don't face additional screening when they travel because they are not considered terrorists. The little detail in here is that it is the most amount of people on that list that don't meet the terrorist criteria pursuant to audit reports by the Department of Justice of the Terrorist Screening Center. Only 0.29% of a sample of 109 individuals and names that they scoped meet the known and suspected terrorist criteria. The rest are what they refer to as non-investigative subjects. And targeted justice challenged this before court because it is our position that the reason for the inclusion of these non-investigative subjects is for the targeted individual, the highly illegal targeted individual program that has been operating silently in this nation for decades now.
Interesting. Let me jump in. I want to show a pie chart that you sent us, and you can talk about. Let's go to this image here. Talk to the audience about this.
Yes. Well, see, I want people to understand that many targeted individuals are so for years or decades without finding out that they are a targeted individual. Handling code 3 and 4 are precisely what this person, Mr. Grew, referred to as non-investigative subjects. What that means is that there's no probable cause to believe that they are engaged in activity that is in furtherance of any terrorist activity. In the little pie chart, you see you have the tiny handling codes 1 and 2. Handling code 1 are the known terrorists. There is an instructions, an FBI circulates instructions for all police departments. This list is circulated at the last count I obtained from the El Haiti case to over 18,000 law enforcement, tribal, federal, state law enforcement, over 1,440 organizations, and over 536 or 32 big corporations like Airbnb and CVS and the car rentals, the biggest corporation. And so the instructions that the FBI put out is that if to police agents, if they call a person category 1, handling code 1, it's an immediate arrest. Handling code 2, you don't tell them that they're on the list, but they are a suspected terrorist. Then handling code 3 and 4, when you look at the instructions, it's really interesting because they tell they instruct police, do not tell them they're on the list, and just look around to see if you find some evidence of any crime, basically. But these handling code 3 in the studies that we have carried out, we believe are the persons that are most targeted, and then you can dwell in handling code 4 for decades and not even realize that those 2 flat tires you got in a year, that broken appliance that you purchased it and it got to your house and it had a dent in the middle of the door. one of them is she called the police on the neighbor because she had tried to get her to keep down the noise from her apartment. And when this didn't happen, well, within 2 weeks, she was targeted. So this is not something that just 300 to 400,000 Americans are undergoing. This is something that was going to be spread out in the population, and the ultimate purpose is, population control by scolding you, by punishing you into, behavior that they want. Absolutely no opposition, absolutely, a curtailment of your freedom of expression. And that's what we're battling in the court. Unfortunately, the district court, the Department of Justice, alleged that these were fantastical allegations and bizarre allegations, even though the statutory...
I'm laughing because this is what the courts of the United States have been doing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing at the case. I'm laughing because Donald Trump, 2020 election, did what? He walked away. He didn't challenge. He's never conceded, but he didn't challenge the deep state. And he showed in the last 2.5 years how corrupt all our courts are in the United States. Let's bring on my co-host, Jim Price. Jim.
As you were talking about this stuff, it really started to bring to mind a lot of factual things I've actually seen, not only in my life, but other people as well. The dent in the refrigerator analogy is actually more spot on than we want it to be, and the idea that there are people, I call it the establishment, those that believe that they're doing the will of their caretakers, right, the gods that they believe in. What about this environmental, social, and governance, the ESG? Isn't this a direct tie into the exact same thing of basically calling us all terrorists in some way? The ESG, this new system of values they're bringing us into, I see the correlation between the two, what you're fighting, but what they're actually instituting as a part of the World Governance Summit. These things are real.
Well, one of the things that it makes my skin crawl is that once you become a targeted individual, it took me decades to realize this, okay? And I only found out because the information to Puerto Rico is filtered. So I only found out because somebody in the mainland told me about it. But I'm just going to give you one example of this world governance, okay? With the single currency. If they don't want you to eat, even though you have your money or your assets, that your card won't work. If they don't want you to go to a protest, your electric car is not going to turn on. Your life, they will, it's just people freely give their rights without realizing that when they want to take them back, they won't be able to. And even though it has been imposed on targeted individuals, this world governance, it's one of the theories, okay, about this targeted program is that they want, one, to deter whistleblowers, and two, to perfect the art of population control. The way they do it is by humiliating when people are put in category 2. Some people undergo horrible physical attacks, and I'm not going to go into them because it's very painful and close to my heart when I hear these stories. But the purpose, or sleep deprivation, sleep deprivation is a form of torture perfected by the CIA, and they do this through the use of microwave, primarily through the use of cellular towers. And the goal is to get you to kill yourself or basically force you into submission. Then there's people like me who are not easily dominated, not easily controlled, and so we present a challenge to these people. And the goal of this program, a lot of people, you have seen an increase in suicide, and now that I have learned so much about it, I wonder how much of this increase in suicide is attributable to the fact that this person was targeted, that they were gang stalked. It's something that it's some number that we will never